The truth is that 99.9% of people just simply won't get what they want out of life. And that's sad because really you only have one swing of the bat, you only have one roll of the dice. And the reality is, and the reason is fundamentally, is actually because most people don't know what they want out of life. If you really think about it, when was the last time you actually sat down and spent time really reflecting and meditating and thinking deeply about what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my relationships to really look like? What do I want my business, my finances to look like? What do I want my impact to look like? What do I want my day in the life to look like? And what I found is most people have some kind of surface level idea. They think they know what they want, but really, if you push and you go below the surface, what you find out is people have no idea what they want. I have people come up to me and, I've been in the property game for over 10 years at this point, and they ask me, Tyler, what advice would you give me? Or what do you think I should do here? Or what strategy do you think I should do with this? And my question always is, well, what do you want out of life? Like, what is it we're optimizing for here? What do you want life to look like if you could wave a magic wand? And sometimes the answers are like, oh, I want to make more money, or it's like, oh, I want to have better relationships, I want to get in better shape. But it's just very surface level. And the reality is, these people you see living this dream life of yours, my experience is these people, they're living life by design, not by default. They're creators of circumstance rather than victims of circumstance. And even myself, I live in this beautiful apartment. I've been here for maybe over 4 years at this point, and this is a over £6,000 a month apartment. But before I moved here, for at least a couple years leading up to it, I knew I wanted to live here. I knew I wanted to live on the river in a modern apartment. I knew the cars I wanted to have downstairs. I knew at the weekends when I go for dinner and break bread with my closest friends, what do I want my friendship circle to look like? What are the places I want to go to eat? When I travel, I knew where I want to travel, how I want to travel, down to my finances, my business, and everything. And so for me, my life has been very intentional. And that's a pattern that I observed early on by being very fortunate enough to spend time with a lot of successful people. Is they're very intentional with their actions. They know what they want. And when they know what they want, they're prepared to stop at nothing to get that. So really, the first thing you need to do is figure out, what do I want life to look like? And the exercise I always encourage people to do is, like, first of all, I want you to wave a magic wand. I want you to forget about what you believe is possible or impossible, what you believe is realistic or unrealistic. Get rid of what really are these self-imposed constraints that you put on yourself, and just have a magic wand and think big for a second. Because you may have not heard this in life already, but it's okay to want more. In fact, if you listen to this, you deserve more. And I really want you to know that, internalize that. So with that being said, spend time, sit down, turn your phone off, open up a notepad, get a pen or a fresh Google Doc, and just start writing what you want life to look like. It should be something that you think very often, very frequently about. And you want to go maybe 2-3 year time horizon, but really think over the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Like, what is it I'm on this earth for? What is it that is a meaningful life to me? And once you've done this exercise, that's step one. But there's an even more powerful part of this process that actually I think a lot of people miss or fail to ignore, because goal setting is common. We all set some goals, but purpose of the point I just made is to really go deep and go detailed and get meticulous and go to an excruciating level of detail. When you really think about it, it's so clear that it creates this emotional state. It creates this emotional reaction. But what's most powerful, and the step that I believe most people ignore, is actually understanding that the version of yourself that you are now and the version of yourself that's living this dream life that you now have clarity on are two totally different people. They are not the same person. That version of yourself in the future that's living this dream life, they have different habits, different behaviors, they've got different skill sets, they exist in a different environment, they have different belief systems. Maybe they have eradicated limiting beliefs that you're holding on to now, and they've replaced them with more empowering belief systems. I just wanted to interrupt this video to invite you to my next 2-day mastermind I'm hosting here at my home in London. These are two very intense, very transformational days where you're learning not just from me, but 5 and 6 other property entrepreneurs that are operating at the 7 and 8 figure level with their property businesses. I can fit 8 people around my dining room table, so it's very intimate, it's very intense. I take everyone for a beautiful dinner on the first night. It's a Friday and Saturday, and over the course of the 2 days, it's a full deep dive into how to really play a bigger game with your property business, how to raise capital from private investors, how to find these investors, how to structure the financing, how to build your brand and build an audience of people that know, like, and trust you, that presents so much more opportunity of being able to find investors and have more deals come your way, how to actually find high quality deals, how to analyze these deals, and how to really scale. We're going to take your psychology to the next level, and ultimately you're going to have a level of clarity and knowledge and skill sets and network coming away from this event, which are going to allow you to take a quantum leap forward in your property business. A lot of people say they were a different person leaving the event that when they arrived. And so if you want to find out more, the first link in the description of this video will be a link to me explaining the event in a bit more detail. And if it's something you'd like to explore, you can fill out a form and book in a call with myself where we can make a decision together if it's something you'd like to be a part of. Back to the video. And so the second thing that you need to do is you need to get clear on what does that version of yourself look like, because the mistake with manifestation and visualization, especially, that people make is they spend so much time thinking about what they want life to look like, which is good, but the power lies in getting clear on what does that future version of myself need to look like. Because there's a great quote that you shouldn't chase butterflies, instead you should build a beautiful garden to essentially attract butterflies. And the same is true of success. You don't chase success, you attract success. You need to become somebody that is attractive to success. And success comes to people that have skill sets and make them more valuable in the marketplace. They have belief systems that are more empowering and allow them to take better actions and take advantage of better opportunities. They have better habits and behaviors that are building them up and allowing them to be more constructive with their lives rather than destructive habits and behaviors that are holding them back. And so when you get clear on these things and you really understand what that future version of yourself looks like, what you'll find is, and this is something that all of the most prominent personal development mentors, that even if you go decades and decades back, I'm talking the likes of Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, and if you go far back as Neville Goddard, who is someone that I love to study. Neville Goddard famously speaks about, he calls it act as if, or thinking from the end. And when you have the clarity on what this future version of yourself needs to look like, what you want to do is step into those shoes now. Because when you step into those shoes and you imagine you're being that person, you begin to think and operate and make decisions and act accordingly as if you are that person. You can think from the end. You can act as if. And when you're making decisions and you're operating from how you think that person, that version of yourself in the future is going to think, act, and operate, what's going to happen is you're going to start bending reality to your will. You're going to start bending reality in your favor. And things are going to start aligning where you're going to start to attract this success that you want. Because I know if you were to take all of the money away from the wealthiest, most successful people in the world and give it to the other half of the world, it wouldn't be long before that money is back in the hands of the most successful, the current wealthy people. Because a few reasons. One, because they have the skills, the habits, the behaviors, the knowledge on how to acquire that wealth back. They've also got a standard that's been set of how they want to live. And so success is rarely an accident. And if you surround yourself with successful people, you'll see these patterns in how they think, how they operate. It's one of the main reasons that I tell people that proximity is power. It's something I learned from Tony Robbins over 10 years ago, that there's just a magic that happens when you're around successful people, when you're around people playing a bigger game. One is you can see yourself in these people. You understand that actually, for the most part, these super successful people aren't these hyper intellectual, gifted, special people that we can't compete with. They are people just like you and I, which creates this belief system that if they can do it, I can do it. But you also begin to see patterns that become so obvious that they're hard to ignore, and patterns where you think, okay, well, that's a common denominator. They all make decisions like this. They all act like this. They all think like this. If I can adopt those things, then that's going to improve my chances of success. So to summarize, step one, get really, really clear on what you want out of life. Step 2 is spend just as much time, if not more, getting clear on what does that future version of myself look like? What are the differences in the habits, behaviors, skill sets, knowledge, belief systems, environment that I can then start to change now? I can start acting as if I am that person, start closing the gap and becoming that person. Because when you do that, you will bend reality in your favor and you will start to get the life that you want. So that's all for this video, guys. I'll see you on the next one.